Thank you and good evening. My name is Tricia Crowley and of the League of Women Voters of Champaign County. And on behalf of the League, the NAACP, and the News Gazette, I welcome you to tonight's candidate forum. Tonight's forum is for the race for Urbana School District 116, Subdistrict 3. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are unfortunately not presenting this forum in person. We have received many questions for these forums. Similar questions which have been submitted have been consolidated, and consequently, a question may not be asked in precisely the way it was submitted. Due to limited time, we may not get to all of the submitted questions. After the forum, this video will be available on the League's YouTube channel and Facebook page after March 12th. For candidate information, you should also check out the Nonpartisan Voters Guide at votechampaign.org. This forum will be attached to the candidate information in the Voters Guide. It will also be broadcast by UPTV, and the UPTV schedule is available on the City of Urbana website. So I'll be the moderator for this forum. Michelle Cooper is our timekeeper. The order for candidates is alphabetical, and therefore Connie Dillard Myers will open and Lara Orr will close. And therefore, each candidate will be given 2 minutes for opening. I'll ask questions. Candidates have 1 minute and then a closing of 2 minutes. So Ms. Dillard Myers, can you please open your opening statement?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Connie Dillard Myers, a resident of Urbana for 15 years, an Urbana High School graduate, and I'm running for school board in Urbana Subdistrict 3. And I'm advocating smaller class sizes, reliable internet for all students, equitable resources and support for student access, ending systemic racism in the school system and in the community and the world, if I can, safe and healthy learning environment, and a safe, healthy teaching environment as well. I also advocate equity in education, and voters in District 3 has a chance to make history, because as of today, there's never been a Black representative for District 3. The student population, just to give you a few statistics, over 50% of the student population in this Urbana is Black, Hispanic, and Asian, meaning that there's growing diversity in Urbana. There's a shift. Non-whites not growing, non-whites are growing, where white students are really declining. So therefore, our community is more diverse. Therefore, as an African-American, I'll create more representation for minorities. I also wanted to, as a board member, play a role for all stakeholders, students, teachers, and parents. I want to elevate different voices in the community, be inclusive, transparent, allow parents an entry point, and create committees and advisory boards to help us along to take care of our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Orr, your opening statement.
Hi, thank you. I want to thank the NAACP and the League of Women Voters, the News Gazette, for hosting. It's really important to allow Connie and I to share our ideas with you, especially during a pandemic. It's a little more difficult. So as stated, my name is Lara Orr, and I'm running for Urbana School Board in Subdistrict 3. My desire to serve on the Urbana School Board comes from a long-standing belief that our public schools serve as a barometer for the health of our community. As an Urbana school alumna, and now a parent with children in those same schools, I have a unique and welcome opportunity to reflect on the ways our schools serve our students and how we can improve. Living in Urbana for over 30 years, I was a student at Leal Elementary School, Urbana Middle School, Urbana High School, leaving for a short time to complete my bachelor's in fine arts at Washington University in St. Louis. and shortly thereafter returning back to Urbana to complete a master's in art education here at the University of Illinois, as well as my Illinois teacher license. Although my ambitions to teach art in the classroom have shifted, my desire to support our students and our families has remained a priority. For the last 6 years, I have volunteered in classrooms, organized various fundraising events at Lille, attended PTA meetings, participated with the Iguales group to establish a new Lille pledge with a focus on equity and inclusion, and later became a PTA president at Lille. I have worked to collect signatures for open letters to the board, spoken at public comment, and attended several meetings this past couple of years. I have also served as an employee as a mentor coordinator for both Wiley and Yankee Ridge Elementary schools. And my time in these schools have cemented my motivation to engage in meaningful change in our school system and to advocate for families that have felt unwelcome or excluded from the conversation. So again, I thank you for this opportunity to share my goals and visions for Urbana schools.
Thank you, Ms. Orr. Ms. Dillard Myers, here we're going to start with questions, and you 1 minute for these questions, which might be kind of tough. They're big questions. So what are the 3 greatest challenges facing the Urbana School District? And if elected, how would you address them?
Well, the 3 challenges facing the board today is COVID and reopening the schools. Number 1, on the top of the list. We had to find a way to reopen the schools safely to the kids. Other one is addressing the learning gap. It's widened as a result of COVID because the students have had to work remotely. And that puts a lot of African-American students at a disadvantage because they didn't have the equipment, the internet, and the school had to scramble to provide that for them. Also, public safety, the disconnect, the youth violence, the gun violence in our community, and also equitable access to resources, class sizes. I want to see Promethean boards and technology brought into the schools. So if the teachers do have to revert back to remote learning, they will be equipped and ready to go. So technology is a big issue that I want to tackle if I'm elected.
Okay, and as I was reading this question, I realized it was super big. So I'm going to separate it out into 2. So what would you do to address those problems that you've identified?
Well, with the COVID-19, I would consider all the CDC recommendations, the state of Illinois recommendations, as well as local health officials' recommendations. And I think the board is doing a real good job at that right now. Addressing the learning gap, we're going to have to really hit the floor running. That's where the support staff and the teachers need the support they need to identify the students who need the extra help, and we need to provide that extra help. And access to resources is going to take some money. The Promethean boards is lacking in the Prairie Elementary School system and probably all over the district because of money. And class sizes has always been an issue throughout the history of schools. The smaller the class size, the more attention individual students get, and therefore they learn better. And as I pointed out, our district is over 50% Black and Brown and Asian students. So therefore, special needs do exist in a more heavily in our district.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Orr, so the first part of this question is, what are the 3 greatest challenges facing the Urbana School District?
Yes, I mean, I will agree wholeheartedly with Connie that we are going to be building up and out of COVID for some time. It has dramatically impacted how we teach and how students learn and how we define a school day. So what I know the district is working on and I'm hearing is we are going to be needing to make building accommodations. I don't think we are in any way out of future pandemics. And so we need to be looking at, air quality. We need to be looking at outdoor classroom resources. We need to be looking at facilitating, which we're working on, better Wi-Fi. So I know that is going to be something for some time, and making sure teachers feel safe. I'm ecstatic to know that our district is, prioritizing vaccinations for our teachers and staff. I think that is, immensely helpful and, important. Our teachers are our frontline workers in the schools. 100% addressing systemic racial inequities in our district. And I'm getting a big stop flag.
No, yeah, you had the stop flag, but I broke this into two. So talk about some of your solutions for the problems identified.
We definitely know our demographic has dramatically changed. And that's obvious in many reasons, but as a student there, we can see it live time, we can feel it having my children there. I understand, every day it's there. And we have huge opportunity gaps. We have issues with, our math performance, with absenteeism. We have issues with safety concerns. And I think a big part of that is stemming from relationship building. We really need to look at supporting the whole child. And what does that mean? It means, social workers, counselors, the interactions that I see my middle schools, teachers creating even over Zoom, it's invaluable. So continuing to encourage and leading and modeling good behavior with, allowing different voices, allowing different opinions, but actually having, accountable steps and ways we're measuring success. What does that look like in the classroom for a teacher to address, disparities in math outcomes? How are we serving students?
Thank you. And Thor, you're first for the next one. What makes you the best candidate for this position, and what experiences and skills do you bring to the board?
I think my experience and skills stem from my long time, involvement in the community. So being a parent has, thrusted me into the school district, and I'm afforded opportunities to, be very involved at the elementary level and at the middle school level right now. I really enjoy and, take pride in being able to, be welcomed to the school, but volunteer, participate, listen, attend meetings and hear what's going on. I also, I have been in the community for a long time, so not just within schools, but have volunteered in other capacities. And other community organizations. I have formerly worked at the district, and things change pretty rapidly there. But being able to know a lot of faces, work with a lot of the teachers, work with a lot of the staff, I think helps qualify me to know the pulse of what the needs are right now in the schools.
Thank you. Ms. Dillard-Myers, what makes you the best candidate for this position, and what experience and skills do you bring to the board?
Well, I'm a graduate of Urbana High School, so I'm a Urbana alum. I'm a Tiger for life. I also went to Parkland College, graduated at the University of Illinois. I have a business administration degree in management information systems with a minor in African-American studies. I'm African-American. I've been living in the African-American community. I moved to Urbana because it was diverse. I also bring a wealth of work experience. I worked for the University of Illinois for 30 years in the library, started there as a library clerk, worked my way up to the highest civil service position that I could reach at the time. I'm also a graduate of EIE University. I got a master's in technology, and I've had a plethora of work experience. I've been, like I said, library, information science, management information systems. I've been a business analyst, a project manager. I bring a wealth of information, but mostly technology to Urbana. And I will use my skills to help the district overcome the digital divide, because it still exists.
Thank you. And here's a question was submitted about the Urbana School Board in November 2018 passed a resolution on commitment to racial equity, but a task force was only formed in January 2021. As an elected board member, what actions would you take to change the current inequities?
And I assume that's to me, right?
Yes.
Well, I would work with the superintendent, the board, and the community, parents, all the stakeholders, get their opinions. Some people are more passionate about this than others, but I would create a team, activate that committee, probably want to sit on it myself, and try and deal with the equity issue that exists in our community. It needs to be addressed. And if we don't address it, it's only going to grow wider. It's even going to cause more problems. Our school system is the heart of our community, and we have to do everything possible to keep it up to standards, and not only to say, here we sit right in the middle of the University of Illinois, one of the premier universities in the country. And as an alum, I feel that we could do better. As an alum of Urbana High School, as alum of the University of Illinois, as the alum of Eastern Illinois University. University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana has a wealth of knowledge floating around, retirees from the education systems here. So we can do better.
Thank you. Ms. Orr, so the board had passed a resolution on commitment to racial equity in November 2018, but it only formed a task force in January 2021. As an elected board member, what actions would you take to change the current inequities?
I think one major step we could take right away is thinking about how we actually collect and absorb input from our stakeholders. I think we need to be more aggressive and do the work and provide more opportunities to share experiences and offer up ways for community members, parents, and students to speak out about what they need and what they want. I think that there is a lot of healing that needs to happen, and that's not just lip service. I think we need to have healing and action. So accountability for past mistakes, and action items moving forward. So thinking about ways in which we are, whose voices are at the table. We've been advocating for a student, seat at the board for some time. Let's make that happen. Our students have incredible ideas and are living this daily. They're the ones in the schools with the teachers and seeing and experiencing. So we really need to value and make space for their voice at the table in an actionable way.
I was muted myself. So the issue of violence in the school has been much in the news, and also the issue of school resource officers. How would you address these?
It's my turn.
Is it? Well, let's see. No, I think Ms. Orr goes first.
Oh, okay.
That's right. Yes, I mean, I think for me, it's really reevaluating how we define safety and who gets to decide what safety looks like. Having been involved pretty extensively with the intergovernmental agreement and speaking out at board meetings and listening to community members and students and hearing, high school students coming to board meetings and speaking about their experiences of not feeling safe with police officers, I think needs to be taken very seriously. And unfortunately, there's very little data to support the role of the SRO as a safety measure. So I think the district needs to really take a look at this intergovernmental agreement and really look at how that $321,000 is being spent, because we know we have, a lot of demands coming out of COVID, and what is that money going to do, or what's going to happen? And we have yet to see ways in which we can actually evaluate the program. And I think it's really important to note that our current SROs, I know, are people who are, valuable in this community. And this isn't about a personnel issue or about whether or not they're good people. This is about a job description. And this is about how our students feel safe in schools. And I don't think guns are the answer.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Dillard-Myers. So the question of violence in the schools, how would you address that? And specifically, what do you think of school resource officers?
Well, I've listened to the local community conversations regarding SROs and the safety in our schools and kids bringing guns to school who think they need to protect themselves. I think the issue here is, why do students think they need guns to protect themselves? Obviously, they're being threatened. And not only are they being threatened, a lot of them are threatening to our teachers, to our support staff. So we need to get to the root of the problem. This thing we used to do in information management is called root cause. You find the root cause, and the root cause is that violence is in our community. It's in our community, so therefore it's going to spill over into our schools. And I think the district was brought to its knees and was forced to reach out to SROs. So I think once we find the root cause and try and eliminate it, or at least work it down to its manageable where we don't need SRO, I think that should be our focus. And that is going to our stakeholders, having conversations about what's the problem, including the students. The students got more information than their parents, but are they willing to tell you everything? There's trust there too.
Thank you. Ms. Dillard-Myers, you start the next one. When the results of the 2020 census are available, redistricting must be addressed. How would you organize the redistricting process, and how would the public be involved?
Well, the redistricting process is, as I know it, is determined by the US Census, which 2020 was a census year. And the county will be redistricting based on population, either growth or decline. And the school district will follow. But currently, after this election year, all 7 members won't be up for election again until 2023. So therefore, I think that's that 2-year period where they'll have a time to go in and realign the redistricting. But I don't think it will affect the school board. I think we'll still have 7 districts. If those boundaries change, they probably won't change until the 23rd. And the thing is we as board members really won't have much control of it. The county will determine the lines. And therefore, we may have to make some adjustments. I've never been in this process. I have to be totally clear. So whatever the district's process was 10 years ago, probably would be a good thing to look at.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Orr, when the results of the 2020 census are available, redistricting must be addressed. And how would you do that? And how would you involve the public?
Well, I think the public, and we say stakeholders a lot, but I'll use that word again, I think should play a major role as much as possible. As Connie mentioned, there are restrictions based on county rules and board rules, and what are we allowed to allocate to what. But I think it's important when we're looking at districting. It's not always clear how they're made. They're kind of wonky and they're all over the place. And I think if the efforts are there to allow for more voices and allow for more diverse voices and give opportunities to have a diverse board, I think that is the angle that I would approach it from. I think we have areas that maybe don't feel like they have that opportunity. So I think based on numbers, and if there's an opportunity to get more seats, I think that would be fantastic.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Orr, what do you feel are the district's top capital planning priorities for the next 3, 5, and 10 years?
I think from a budgetary standpoint, I know there are still elementary schools that are going through renovations. We know that Thomas Paine and Wiley are still looking at pretty massive renovations, that all the elementary schools are kind of going through, the rotation. I also would hope, and would bring to the table, what are we doing to prepare for future situations like COVID? So are we really looking at, how do we outfit these schools for the next time? And what can we anticipate? I also know that we're thinking about, upgrading technology, upgrading Wi-Fi, making it more accessible. And that can't just be just schools. We really need to think about, neighborhoods and ways in which internet is more of a priority, and how we can better facilitate, alternative experiences. So maybe everything doesn't have to be inside a building, or maybe it can be outside. And let's think about some outdoor classroom spaces that would have been immensely helpful at the beginning of this pandemic and making people feel safer about being at schools.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Dillard Myers, what do you feel are the district's top capital planning priorities over the next 3, 5, and 10 years?
I'm understanding that the two elementary schools, Thomas Paine and why the other one escapes me, are priority. They're trying to renovate the schools, bring them up to code. I understand there was some lead issues and other things just from the age of the buildings. And then I think also the school, the board is going to have to look at this culvert and the way we hold things like snow days and days, even summer. Just like in my mind, I would love to see the kids start school March and go all the way through until, give them a couple weeks break, like the all year round schools in Champaign, the kids get 2-week breaks. But I think that we need to eliminate this summer, this long drawn out summer that these kids go to, because they lose a lot during the summer as well. So I would say that with the COVID changes, the district should prioritize the continued improvement in the schools. That's also going to create a better environment for them as well. And technology, they need to bring in more technologies. Those Promethean boards, we really need those.
Okay, this is going to be our last question before closing. So we start with Ms. Dillard Myers. What are the Urbana School District's greatest strengths?
Its greatest strength is its community. I think Urbana as a community is a strong community. And I think that we need to continue to build on that community. Anytime I see something new being built and brought up, I feel good, because that says that we're always improving. Overall, I think that if we keep striving to improve our school system, partner with University of Illinois, the Park District, Neighborhood Connection Center, Boys and Girls Club, just anything to keep our kids active, involved. And we need to start listening to the kids. Nowhere in all of this mayhem that occurred in 2018 did I have anyone sit down and have a town hall meeting with the students themselves. I mean, on both sides of the spectrum, the students who's scared because somebody is bringing a gun to school, the student who is bringing the gun to the school. Somebody needs to talk to the children. I think that's part of the problem, is that all the adults are making the plans, doing everything they think needs to be done, but nobody's addressing the students' issues. I think we need to survey our students to find out if they feel safe. They're not safe, they can't learn. Teachers not safe, they can't teach.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Orr, what do you think are the Urbana School District's greatest strengths?
I would agree. I think Urbana is an exceptionally strong community, and I've seen that play out over and over during this pandemic. I've seen people show up and stand up and support in ways that I don't think we even knew, we had it in us for this long. I have seen just innovation beyond from the teachers as they transitioned and quickly prepare for a brand new teaching environment. I mean, I get to overhear my son's classes, and it's pretty awesome. And I'm so impressed with the ways in which they're making this whole experience, valuable. And that is not to say it's not without challenges or things that have, fallen short. But I see these teachers that are showing up for their students, and they're exceptionally dedicated to doing whatever they can all the time. But even more so, I get this unique opportunity to kind of be a fly during a Zoom. So I can attest to that. And I think that is a huge strength of our district.
Okay, thank you. And so we go to closing. Ms. Dillard Myers, you're first. 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, in closing, I'd like to thank the NAACP and the League of Women Voters for having me. I'd also like to give some statistics. The Urbana School District number 116 has 36.9% Black students, 30.6% white students, 16% Hispanic, 5% Asian, 1.2% Indian, American Indian, 0.5% Pacific Islanders, and 2 or more races. People who claim 2 or more races were 9.8% of the population. So as we see, even though our population and our community is very diverse, our board only has 1 African-American member. And it's my understanding that there is an Asian gentleman who's running who's unopposed, but the board does not currently reflect the community. And that's bad news, because in the study done by Christina Samuel, it says that if the student population, if the board does not reflect the student population, the population of the community, then it's not getting the full view of the community, okay? Because we're gonna bring, as African Americans and Asians, we're gonna bring different opinions and views to the board. Right now, you only have 1 minority voice, but you have over 60% minority representation in the district. And that's not good. That's a major problem. So the board needs to reflect the student demographics. Our community is diverse. We should have a diverse school board. Okay. I'm advocating me as a representative. I'm retired from the university. I do work part-time. I consider myself semi-retired. I'm a University of Illinois graduate, Urbana alum, proud Tiger, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Orr, your closing statement.
Thanks. As a leader and a parent and a community member, I'm deeply committed to the idea that change in and of itself does not have to be destructive, and the ability for leaders in our community to embrace innovative change is restorative and powerful. This past year of living in a pandemic has not only put a bigger spotlight on the needs of our students, teachers, and families, and the inequities faced by people in our community. Schools are important micro communities for our youth. School services go much deeper than once believed places of academic gain. We know they are a resource for mental health services, meals, physical growth and activity, social emotional development, and provide opportunities for deep learning about our society and culture. We form our community values and citizenry within our schools. And I am motivated and dedicated to do the work ahead of us as a school board and foster a reflective, restorative, innovative path with existing board members. It has never been more clear that our community is ready and wanting leaders to navigate forward. So again, thank you for this opportunity and everyone's time this evening. And early voting has started. Election day is April 6th.
Thank you. So thanks to the League of Women Voters, the NAACP, and the News Gazette for sponsoring this forum. Thanks to Michelle Cooper for keeping us all on time. And a very special thanks to John Von Behrens, who put this forum series together. Just a reminder, it's not too late to register to vote for the April 6th election. Information is available on the county clerk's website. Please vote. You can vote by mail, vote early, or vote on April 6th. Because turnout is expected to be light, please check your polling place for April 6th. Please vote. And also you can find candidate information at the Nonpartisan Voters Guide, votechampaign.org, and these forums will be attached to the candidate information in that voter guide. So thank you to the candidates for participating tonight, and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.